Hey guys, welcome to this 15-minute full body stretching routine. This is the stretching routine that I would do every single morning after my daily exercises for the past 4 years, and I only recently stopped doing it in the morning and started doing a different activating stretching routine instead. But I still love doing this routine later in the day or in the afternoon because it really stretches out all the muscles I use in ballet, and by shifting around in the stretches, you can feel a deeper stretch in certain areas, and that's what really motivated me to do this routine so often. This is a more intermediate to advanced routine, but I've provided beginner modifications that anybody can follow along. Now let's get started.
Alright, so we're going to start lying down on your back in this butterfly pose so your knees are opening out to the side, and then pick up one leg and straighten it in front of you, holding on to your ankle or your foot. If you can't reach your ankle or foot, you can hold on just above your knee or even below your knee, but don't hold on to your knee itself because that will encourage you to bend it. And we're trying to stretch the hamstrings here, so you want your knee as straight as possible. And make sure your pelvis is also not tucked in this position, so your pelvis is flat onto the ground and there's a little space under your lower back. Now you're going to bend the leg into a kind of attitude devant, and you can hold on to your foot and your knee. You're trying to push your knee out and pull your foot closer to you so that you feel a stretch in your outer hip and glute. And we're holding almost all of these stretches for 30 seconds. I think there's one stretch in here that's 15, but the rest are all 30 seconds. And you can definitely hold them longer once you get to know the routine. 30 seconds is like the minimum to feel the muscle relax. Now you're going to straighten out both legs so that you feel a stretch in the hamstring of your top leg and the hip flexor of your bottom leg. Again, keeping your pelvis flat and untucked, and your bottom leg is lengthening out away from you and staying straight, and your top leg is also stretching as much as it can. If this is too difficult, you can hold on lower down onto your leg like you did in the other hamstring stretch. Now you're going to bring the leg to the side, so keeping it as close to you as you can, just rotate it out to the side, keeping your heel facing the ceiling to maximize your turnout, and keeping your bottom leg straight underneath you. Don't let it swing over towards the working leg too much. I'm holding on with both hands with one overhead, but if that's too difficult, then you can hold on with just one to the side. And for the last 5 seconds, try to let go of your leg and keep it up. Now switch and do the other leg, repeating all 4 stretches. So starting with the butterfly and bending one leg in to the hamstring stretch. We're just doing all 4 of those stretches we just did on the other side. Now bend your leg into the attitude front, holding onto your foot, and feel the stretch in the outer hip and glute. I recommend flexing your top foot so that you're not accidentally going into a sickled position and pulling on your ankle. Now stretch out both knees, going into the hamstring stretch again. For the deepest stretch possible, I recommend flexing the top foot and pulling back on your toes so that you really feel the nerve stretch in the back of your knee. Now bring the leg to the side, either reaching overhead or just using one arm, keeping your leg as turned out as possible and your bottom leg stretched and also turned out. Now let go and hold the leg up and bring it down. Now we're going to stand up and go into a runner's lunge position, stretching your back knee as much as you can and bending your body forward so that your hands are flat on the ground on either side of your front foot. If this is too difficult, you can come up in the running lunge and have your hands on your front knee if it's too deep of a stretch to bend forwards. In this position, I really like tucking my pelvis and looking down towards my back leg to feel the deeper stretch. Now you can bend in your back leg to feel a stretch in your quad. If you can't do this, you can go up into a 90-90 kneel and hold onto a wall for balance and bend in the back leg. Or if you have a wall available and want to do something more difficult, you can bend your back leg against the wall like shown in the harder modification in the bottom left corner. Hold your arms in fifth, bend backwards, and then bend to the side in 10-second intervals. In 3 seconds, we're going to switch. Now bend your back leg, stretch the front leg, and bend forwards over top of the front leg to feel a stretch in your hamstring. Flex your front foot and pull back on the toes to feel the deepest stretch in your hamstring and really get that nerve stretch. And make sure your spine is lengthening out as much as you can. You're not rounding forwards too much. You're trying to get your head to your foot and not to your knee, so your back is really long and flat. And then stretch both legs to go into a split, keeping the back toes tucked so that your hips are as square as possible, your back knee is as stretched as possible. I like to twist around and grab onto my back knee with the opposite arm and kind of pull it up a little bit to make sure it's stretched all the way. If you're not flat in your splits, just focus on stretching both knees as much as you can and keeping your hips as square as possible. It's better to be off the ground with your hips square than forcing it down and twisting your hips. Now bend in the back leg if you're flat in your split. If not, just keep holding as far as you can. It'll only be 1 minute total, but if you are flat down in your splits, you can bend in your back leg to feel a deeper stretch in your quad. Now release the back leg, and this is the 15 seconds, so you're going to turn out both legs in your split and bend them into attitudes. So your back leg is bent with the toe pointed, and the front leg is bent with the toe flexed so that it's not sickled. And you're trying to get both knees turned out. Now flip around, and we're going to repeat all of those split stretches on the other side, starting with the basic runner's lunge. So tuck your pelvis, stretch your back knee as much as you possibly can, and look down towards your back leg to feel a deeper stretch in your hip flexor. You can kind of bounce around and shift here to feel the stretch in different places. Or if you're not flat down, just hold the lunge upright and don't worry about touching the ground or tucking or anything. Now bend in the back leg, and you can do the harder modification on the wall with the back leg bent on the wall, holding the arms in fifth. And then bend backwards towards the wall. And then bend to the side. These arm variations on the wall just help you feel a deeper stretch in your hip flexor and quad. Now you can release that, bend the back leg, stretch the front leg, and pull back on your toes in your nice hamstring stretch, lengthening your spine as much as you can and trying to get your top of your head to your toe. Now stretch both legs and go into a split, keeping the back toes tucked so that your knees are stretched and your hips are square, keeping your front foot flexed as well to feel the deepest stretch possible. And you can pull up on your back knee to help you square off and stretch that knee. Now stretch your feet, and you can bend in the back leg if you're flat down to feel a deeper stretch in your quad, or just keep holding your splits. Keep stretching those legs and reaching them away from each other and keeping your hips square. Now release the back leg, turn out both legs, and bend both legs into the attitudes. Still try to keep your hips square in this position. It is much harder and you'll feel a deep stretch in your inner thighs too. Now coming out of that, we're going to go into the glute stretch. So put your knees on top of each other and sit down. Try to keep your spine long and your knees should be in a 90-degree angle, so your feet should be directly across from each other. This is the cow face pose in yoga. If you can't do this, then you can just bend your top leg over and hold onto your knee and twist away from the leg that you're holding in, as shown in the modification in the top left. Now line up your heel with your knee and your other knee with your heel to go into this double-crossed butterfly stretch. If you can't do this, then you can just do a regular butterfly stretch and push down on your knees. But if you can do this, then hold onto your ankle that's on top and use your other hand to push your knee down, so that way you make sure you're not sickling your ankle and you're not twerking your knee in any weird way. Now we're going to switch and do those on the other side, starting with the cow face pose to stretch your glutes. So knees on top of each other, 90-90 angles and feet across from each other, sitting up for the first half, and then you can bend forwards for the rest of it. And keep remembering to lengthen out your spine as much as you can. You should be feeling a deep stretch in your glutes in this position. Now, heel to knee and knee to heel, pulling up on your top ankle and pushing down on your top knee to keep that leg in good alignment as you stretch, and then bend forwards once you've relaxed into the position a little bit. Now we're going to lay down on our back again and go into a happy baby. So grab onto your heels and pull your knees down to the mat, keeping your pelvis straight so you're not tucking and lifting it off the ground. You're trying to keep a little space under your lower back, so you're trying almost to arch your back to keep your pelvis really straight to feel the deepest stretch in your inner thighs. Now stretch your legs out of the happy baby, so you're in this kind of a reclined straddle position, but your legs are higher up. They're not in a 90-degree like they would be in a straddle. And keep pushing your heels towards the ground. Then you can point your toes, bend one knee, touching it to the mat, bend the other knee to touch the mat, and then bend both knees and stretch. And then just keep holding this for 10 more seconds. You should be really feeling your inner thighs in this position and also a little bit of hamstrings. Nice. Now flip back around and we're going to go into a seated straddle position. So just go into the straddle and then bend towards one side. The goal is to reach your foot, but it's totally okay if you can't do that, and if you need to be in a narrower straddle. The more you stretch, the closer you will get to a flat straddle. And then if you are in a flat straddle, you can try to get your bottom shoulder on the ground. You'll feel a really deep stretch in your side of your ribs and your QL muscle. And now we're going to switch and do that on the other side. So bending over. And when you're bending over, make sure that both hips are staying on the ground. When you try to push your shoulder to the ground, one of them can come off. Just feel that stretch for a second in the side of the body, but then bring it back down as you come up and lift off the shoulder. Good. Now in the straddle, we're going to bend both knees, and we're going to turn them out and in a couple times, just rotating from the femur in the hip socket out and in as much as you can, increasing the range of motion and massaging in the hip. And then we're going to hold it out and bend forwards in the straddle. So keeping your knees facing the ceiling, reach as far forwards as you can, and make sure you also keep your knees bent and your toes facing the ceiling. Now you can stretch both legs and roll forwards into a middle split if you're flat down. And I like to tuck one arm under at a time to feel a stretch in my shoulder. If you are not flat down in the middle splits, just hold a straddle and reach forwards without rotating the legs in. It's really dangerous for your knees if you roll forward into a middle split when you're not flat down, because it just puts a lot of pressure on your knees. If you are flat down and doing the arm stretch, you can switch arms now. So you're stretching the other shoulder. Total, we will be holding the middle split for 1 minute. Now you can come out of that and bend both knees to a 90-degree angle to go into this frog stretch. This one is okay to do if you're not flat down because your knees are bent, so they won't be getting torqued or having weird pressure from the gravity of your body against the floor. So you can do this if you're not flat down. Just make sure your knees are really 90 degrees. And for the last 10 seconds, I like to bend them in past 90 degrees so my toes are touching each other to go into this like grand plie position. And you are done.